Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to the Dev Marketer channel. And today we're going to be working on the advanced blog in CMS again. And the focus of today's video basically is we got this cool nav bar. We got our accordions working. Before we go on and actually start adding the stupid functionality, because the next step is to do the actual start adding like the CMS type functionality, recording content and stuff like that. That's the next step. But before we do that, I wanted to get this admin thing ready to go. So it's just good to go. And so the last thing that's necessary for this is I want to make sure that this menu works on mobile. So what my goal is as I go to mobile here, as I push it onto mobile, I want this menu to slide away. So I have full access to the screen, which I don't have right now, right? And then I want to be able to press a button to slide it back in, click something, slide it back, slide it away or whatever. So that's kind of the idea. I want this to slide in and out. That's the focus of today's video. All right, so here's kind of the thing. Here's the rundown. So the first thing we need to do, we need to grab this this menu. We need to tell it basically via CSS. Most of this is going to be CSS. We're not going to do a lot of JavaScript. We'll do just one little tiny block of JavaScript, like 2 or 3 lines. So most of this is going to be CSS. With CSS, we're going to tell it that when we're in a mobile setting, so you can see here we got this hamburger icon, which by the way, we need to get rid of that border because it looks ugly. But we got this hamburger icon up here. So see how it changes about here somewhere? Oh, maybe right there. Okay, so right there you can see it goes away. So what Bulma is doing is Bulma's defined certain blocks of code saying that basically they consider this to be the tablet. So this and below is considered mobile. So this is phone, this is tablet. And then once we hit this, we're actually now considered desktop. This is I think 1024 pixels. So now we're considered a very small desktop, and then it goes bigger from there. There's a couple of the breakpoints. But basically what we want to do is when we're in this mobile zone, when we're in tablet or phone mode, we want the menu to slide away. You can see how we have the hamburger up here. That we want that to stay. That's going to pull down the menu that is normally, that's going to pull down this menu up here and this sub menu. But then we're going to create another button that is visible on mobile only. That's like an arrow. And when it'll be right here, we click it, it'll slide in the menu and slide it out. So in CSS, we need to tell our side menu here to not be visible when we're in mobile because we want it off the screen normally. And then we'll just bring it on when we click the arrow. So we got to create the arrow. We got to fix this hamburger button here. We've got to, and then third, we've got to get this sidebar in. All right, let's do all of that and let's see where we're at. So let's start by going into we don't need to worry about JavaScript. Let's go into our Sass. Before we go into our Sass, let's actually go into the navigation, this manage navigation. You can see we have a side menu. I just have an inkling here. We're going to want this to be an ID. So let's go ahead. We're going to say side menu as, well, let's call it admin side menu since it's an ID. For JavaScript, it's a lot easier to target things by ID. It's also a lot more effective from a performance perspective. So we want to use IDs with our JavaScript. So we'll target it with an ID. And then I think that's all we really need. Everything else, the actual HTML structure can stay the same. Okay, so now back inside of our manage.css, because this is the CSS for Sass, SCSS. This is the Sass for our management stuff, which is what we're working on. Here we've got our side menu. Let's go ahead and fix this. Let's make this admin side menu just to keep it good. And let's see what we got already. It looks like we've already done some positioning stuff. Position absolute, we're gonna wanna change that. Top is 4 rems, bottom is 0. That way it stays all the way top to bottom. It's got a width of 200 pixels, background color, and then overflow is on Y is scroll. So that way since we got a hard width here, if it's got a long line, if this is a really long line, it'll just wrap around. But then with Y, we should have an effect where we can do that. Yep, just like that. Okay. That's good. Now the only thing is because I think it's gonna be easier if we do position fixed. So let's go ahead and do position fixed just because we're gonna be sliding in and out and doing all that crap. Okay, and then let's do a left. We don't have a left target yet. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be doing mobile first. So on mobile, basically, we want this, we don't want this to be 0. We want this to be negative 200. Now, the reason this is negative 200 is because our width is 200. So we know it's 200 wide. So we want that we want to move it off the screen 200 pixels. That'll make it not visible. It'll be off the screen. Okay, so we want it hidden by default. That's the important thing here. And then we're going to set up a media query, media, and we're going to set up a media query, and it'll be min width of, I believe it's 1024, but I'm not 100% positive. If we go to Bulma, we can find out. In that media query, we're going to tell it to be visible. Okay, so that's when we'll set the left to 0, making it visible, is when it's on like a desktop type environment. Let's go to overview here for documentation. And I think under responsiveness, it has all the details. There we go. So we've got, we want it hidden, or yeah, hidden and hidden. And then desktop is from 1024 on up. So we want to target that. Oh, we've got some mix-ins here. Desktop 1024. This will probably do the same thing what my media query is going to do. Yeah. Okay, it will. This is probably minimum 1024. This is going to be 1024 with a max of 1215. So we want this desktop one. So we can actually use a mix-in in SAS. So we can do this minimum with 1024, and then inside of here we can do left of 0. So that'll look good. Or we can actually make this cleaner thanks to Bulma, and we can just do desktop. Or no. Include. Oops. Include desktop, and then do left. Either one will work. They do the same thing. Ultimately, this is just going to create a media query just like I made. It just makes it a little easier to read. Okay, so I refresh this page. Oh, we don't have, it's not going to do us a lot of good. We need to get this running. You run, watch. Let's get that run for a second. Oh, okay, we're good. Let's go ahead and refresh. And now as I go smaller, you can see whenever this becomes visible, because they match the same media queries, this goes away. So right there, it's the same exact moment. All right, all the way down to here. That's good. Let's get rid of this real quick. This border looks kind of ugly. You can see we got navbar burger is the element. If we do border none, it goes away. See how it goes away. Okay, so let's just go to navbar burger and we will override that. Let's go into our overrides and we'll override it here. And we'll just say border none. Just like that. Okay, so that should be good. Now we shouldn't have that anymore. It goes away, perfect. And then that's gone. So I think we're good. Now let's go through. Our menu's basically good to go, right? So our menu is visible on desktop. On tablet, it's hidden. But we need a button here to slide it in and out. Okay, so I'm going to make an arrow button that basically indicates that we're sliding in, and then we'll flip it around and to indicate that slide it back in, and we can use this arrow to toggle the menu back and forth. So let's create a menu item here. So to do that, we actually need to go back to our main navigation, and here we've got our burger, and here we've got our logo. So let's do it in between there, and we're going to create an anchor tag with a class of navbar item. We don't need a link really. And then let's go ahead and do, so we could do, the reason I don't do button is actually makes more sense. The downside with button is that Bulma, the way Bulma's designed it, it just doesn't look good. I could override it, but it's quite a bit of work. Okay, so navbar item, I'm trying to think what else we need to do here. Let's give this an ID just so that we can target it easily with the JavaScript. So we'll just say Slideout button. That works. Okay, and then the class of that, and then inside of here, we're going to create an icon. So let's create an icon. I class equals font awesome. We're going to use an arrow. Let's go just check that real quick. And let's click arrow. Okay, and then let's just do probably this one, arrow circle right. Yeah, or we could do this arrow circle outline. Let's try that. Okay, arrow circle out, O right. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at that in the browser. Looks good. Okay, now this is going to be visible all the time. We obviously only want it visible when we are on... we're only going to want this visible when we're on mobile, right? So let's go ahead and make it hidden on is hidden desktop. That way it goes away. There we go, just like that. Okay, so here we go. We've got our button. So we've got our button here, logo here. This button's great. So we want to be able to click this button now and slide in the menu. So we'll do that with JavaScript. The last thing I want to do before we mess with the JavaScript is I want to create a version of this button when it's active. So when I want to be able to give it an isActive class in JavaScript, and then change the look of the button. So let's go through and in our manage.css, let's target that button. So what's the button called? Navbar. Okay, admin slide out button. So let's grab this button and let's create an effect for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and give it admin slide out button. Perfect. And then let's do, we need to be able to give it a transition in and out. So we're going to give it a transition and we'll say 0.3 seconds maybe. And that should be fine. And then let's go ahead and say when it's got the isActive class, then we want to be able to we want it to basically flip the icon. So we'll say transform, rotate Y, and we'll rotate it 180 degrees like that. Okay, so that'll flip it. Oh, we need to do. There we go. Okay, and then we should be good to go. So now let's try it. So I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to come over here, inspect the element. I've got it open here. So watch this icon. I'm going to go ahead and give this manually. I'm going to give it a, if I can find the right thing here, I'm manually going to give it the isActive class, and just watch it change. Nope, didn't work. Okay. Did I do something wrong? Active, admin slide out button. And I said if it's got the isActive class. Oh, we do need to have another transition in here. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, there we go. It's working. It might not have taken. I might not have given enough time for the for Laravel mix to run or something. Okay, cool. So it's working. And if I get rid of the active class, watch it again. It'll flip back. I'm going to click it right now. There you go. So then it flips back. So that's good to go. Last thing I want to do before we mess with the JavaScript is we need to set an active class for this slide menu. So as of right now, we just want to be able to attach the isActive class to the slide menu. So let's say here, if this has the isActive class, then let's do left will be 0. And then let's go ahead and create a transition. And the transition will be left 0.3 seconds, and then we'll ease in out. And then let's grab that transition and just copy it up here to the non-active version as well. So that way it transitions both directions. Okay, so that's good to go. I think we're good. So now let's go through and let's target this button. So when someone clicks this button, we'll create a click event, and then we'll toggle the isActive class for the button and for the slide menu. And that should basically be our effect. We'll basically be done. So let's come back here and let's go to our JavaScript. So JavaScript, we'll do our manage.js. Here we've got our accordion. So just down here at the bottom, well, at the top, let's go ahead and target the element. So we'll say constant admin slide out button equals document.get element by ID, and then we'll just get admin.side menu, I think. Is that right? Oh no, we need the button. So, oh, freak, what's it called? Admin slide out button. Okay. Grab that. Perfect. And then down here, let's just create a, let's do it here. Okay, let's create the click event. So we'll say admin slide out button dot on click And then we'll do this dot class list dot toggle, and we will toggle the isActive class. And then let's do this, or not this, let's do document.get element by ID, and we'll get it by the, let's get the menu now. So our menu is admin side menu is what we're targeting. Admin side menu, and then we'll just say the same thing. So we'll just say class list dot toggle, and we'll toggle the isActive. Perfect. Good to go. So that's all we need. Let's go ahead and test it. Okay, so here we are on mobile. It should all go away. Yep, it's all normal when it's not mobile. If we click it, it slides out, goes back and forth. So there we go. That's what we needed to do. Look at that. Pretty slick, right? Pretty good. Yeah, I think that's basically all we need. You know, I'm trying to think here. We might have one problem. Let's try going here. Let's go home. Yeah, so we probably just want to get rid of this button. It's causing errors. Okay, so when we're not in the manage section, so I'm inside the application here, but I'm not inside of /manage. So I don't actually have that side menu because I'm not inside the back end of the website where the admins are. So there's no admin side menu. So we don't really need to display that arrow unless we're on the back end of the website. That's the only time we need to display that arrow. So we might want to just change that, and then we'll be done for the night. So that's why we're getting all these errors, is because it's trying to find that admin slide menu. Right here you can see it. This admin slide menu, and it doesn't exist on this page. It only exists on pages that have this /manage backend. Okay, then these would work. So, okay, great. So let's do that. Let's just change that. That should be pretty easy. What we'll do is we'll just grab, let's see, where are we in? Let's go to the main navigation. Here's our button right here. So what we're going to do is just wrap this in an if clause, and we'll just say if. Let's put this up in it. And then for our condition, we're just going to show it when the request has a segment 1 of equal to manage. Okay, so what that means is basically when it looks at the URL, the first segment, this is the first segment, if the first segment is equal to manage, which means the way we've got this set up, basically our backend is anything with that /manage and then whatever after it. And so we just want to look at this, and if it's managed, then that means to show the arrow, and if it's not, then we shouldn't have the arrow. So if I get rid of it now and go to home, we don't have the arrow this time. We just have this one. So that way it shows up on any page that we want, and we're not going to get that error. Okay, so that's it for today. We've gone ahead and we've gotten our admin menu to slide in and out. I think that's pretty good. I've got to kind of like think about the next episode. I'm not sure what we're going to do exactly, but what I think we're going to do, unless I think up something else that needs to be done before we do this, I think we're actually going to start diving into being able to create the post, like a blog post type of thing. So we're basically going to start off creating the blog post section of the website. And so I think that's what we're going to do in the next episode, unless I think of something else that needs to be done before that. And so what that's going to entail is us basically having, we will create we'll create an item in here that's going to be for managing our blog posts. And then we'll click in there, and then we'll have an interface here to read all the blog posts, do the normal CRUD stuff. It'll just be normal CRUD. And then this won't be next episode, but then in an episode or two, we'll get into something I know a lot of people are asking about, which is the WYSIWYG. So we'll do that in a few episodes, but we got to set up some stuff before we do the WYSIWYG. So I think that's what we're going to do in the next episode, is we're just going to get the blog post ready to go and kind of get that part done. So that's going to be pretty important. Before we can do any of the front end, we got to get all that done. And so that's why I wanted to have our admin menu ready to go, is because I want it to just work. And now I don't have to worry about the admin menu. We have the navigation working. We got the slide in and slide out. So it's just going to work. I don't need to worry about anything else. Now we can go through and build the other stuff out. And that's kind of the point of what I wanted to do before we got into the CMS portion. But that's what's up next. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode.